All right, let me go ahead. Happy Friday. Welcome to this is the end of week two. Pretty exciting. Um, y'all should have received the latest bill tracking report from Laura yesterday evening. I'll be as with prior weeks. First, sorry I missed last weekend or last week, and I appreciate you, Laura, covering it. Not a tremendous amount of activity last week, thankfully. Um, but anyway, I'm happy to be back and happy Friday. So we're going to be going through the bill tracking report that Laura sent out yesterday afternoon. Um, uh, the order here is again organized by activity, so not by necessarily importance or interest to our group. The ones that have had no action are going to be at the bottom, and the ones that have had the most recent action will be at the top. And I'm just going to roll through these in order, and then everybody if anybody has any questions, please just um, uh, yell out at me. I'm not really going to be able to see comments in the chat the way I'm looking at my screen, Laura. So maybe if you can help me if somebody throws something in chat or puts their hand up,
Of course.
just get my attention. So right here at the top, we've got the first two bills on our tracking list that have made it all the way through and passed. Um, this is basically you could call it a glitch bill. It's a reviser's bill. That's the actual term for it. This is a cleanup bill, changing some obsolete references, uh, changing references from DEO to Secretary of Commerce and things like that. Um, we had this on our list because there were some environmental statutes referenced in here, but there wasn't any there. There wasn't anything substantive in here, and they didn't make any changes to any statutes substantively. So I'm going to, unless there's objection, I'm going to, now that this is all the way through and kind of done and nothing happened to them, I'm going to just take them off the list. Um, the next couple of bills are drinking water related. Not necessarily movement yet, but this bill, the statewide drinking water standard bill, which would put an MCL or maximum contaminant level for dioxane. It was scheduled for its first committee stop this week, so it's had some activity. The House companion hasn't had any activity yet. Not sure, this means this is going to move anywhere, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It's been calendared for next week at Senate Environmental Natural Resources. This next bill by Broder was also calendared for its first committee stop next week. This is more interesting to me. This establishes some PFAS activity, including a pretreatment initiative within DEP. The pretreatment initiative would impact wastewater facilities as well. And so this is definitely something to take a look at if you are in the wastewater or drinking water industry or have concerns or interests around PFAS. So please take a look at that if that meets your description. Have not seen similar activity on the House companion yet, but if Broder's bill starts moving, it'll probably generate some momentum. A lot of industry folks are watching this bill. The mitigation bill by Broder is another one. This is one I actually think may have some legs this year. It's already passed its first committee stop. It's scheduled for two more stops in the Senate. I actually haven't checked the House companion yet. We'll check that when we get down there. But this one would change the ability for private sector mitigation bankers to get access to government properties and partner with government entities for mitigation projects. So if this is if mitigation is in your wheelhouse, then please do take a look at this. I see this as a more than 50% chance of passing this year. 455, the recycling bill and its companion by Stewart. Sorry, was that a question? Okay. This is updating the state's recycling plan. It's no committee stop. It hasn't passed the committee yet in either House or Senate, but it has been scheduled now for today, as a matter of fact. So it may start to move. This is FYI only. Nothing really terribly substantive in these bills. The mangrove replanting and restoration rule bill has made it through its first committee stop, and haven't seen anything happening in the House yet. But just as a reminder, this would establish, actually require DEP, and gives them rulemaking authority to write rules for mangrove replanting and restoration. If mangroves are your thing, then please take a look at this, and we'll keep watching this. This Trumbull's bill is also interesting. It is pretty narrow, but I think it's going to pass. It's already passed its first committee stop. This changes well contractor licensing requirements. So if that's interesting to you, please do take a look. Again, pretty narrow, but I think it's, given who the sponsor is, probably likely to move this year.
That would not involve any like environmental wells. It would just be for water wells. Is that correct?
I believe so. I think it's it is the well contractor license that's being, the qualification requirements are being revised. So I don't know whether environmental wells have to be drilled by a licensed well contractor or not, actually. Here, let's demonstrate a feature of this. Let me see if that worked. Did not work. Hang on. So as a reminder, if you are opening up and following along on this PDF, if you would actually like to see the bill itself and some additional information, these links over here to the left. I'm going to have to stop and share a different window to get that up, but I can do that.
I'll pull it up for you, Jeff, while you keep talking, if you want.
Okay. Make sure 1326. Yep.
Oh, you're quicker.
No, I pulled the link up. It just didn't pop up on my screen because I have my screen's minimized.
Remind me of the bill number. I think I typed it in wrong.
1136.
1136. Want me to pull up the text?
No. Just wish I could click the right button. Okay. I'm going to keep going because this is painful. Here we go. It popped up finally. Can y'all see this now? Oh, this is Laura.
I'm driving.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Tell me what you need.
Coming to my rescue. No, just pointing out that you can get the bill text, and now that it's passed through a committee stop, there'll be a bill analysis. If you would like to hear or see the analysis, yeah, there you go. Thank you. If you would like to get a deeper dive, once a bill makes it through a committee, the committee staff will draft and post a bill analysis, and it gives you again a deep dive into what's going on, what the background is for, what changes are being proposed, and so on and so forth. So if you really want to get into the weeds, this is where I would send you. And that is all, again, clickable from the PDF document, even though I wasn't able to successfully demonstrate that. Promise you it works. All right, I will get back into this. So 1386 is a department DEP kind of omnibus bill. It's got a lot of different things in here. There are provisions for aquatic preserves. There are provisions for the Florida Flood Hub. There's enforcement for OSTDS regulations, domestic wastewater, BMAP. So a lot of things in here. So this is kind of, as it moves through the process, it can collect amendments and become an environmental train bill. So a little bit for everybody in here. So I do encourage folks to take a look at 1386. Its House Companion 1557 hasn't moved yet, but the Senate version has made it through its first committee unanimously. So looks like it's building some momentum. Okay, now we're going down into the group of bills that haven't been voted on yet, but a lot of these have been scheduled. Sorry, I don't think any of these have been scheduled. There may be one or two, I could be wrong, but I think these have just been referred and not scheduled yet. But so we're kind of getting down into the bottom half of the list here. It's still very early in the session. Just because there hasn't been any activity yet does not mean these bills aren't going to move. But they just haven't had any movement yet. So we're starting to get into some companions as well. This is the PFAS companion to Broder's bill. This is the House companion to the mangrove replanting rule bill. Here's Playcon's drinking water standards companion, and so forth. So let me see if there's anything new in here. Okay, so here's the Blue Communities program and the Ocean State Climate Adaptation thing. There's one or two of these floating around this year. I haven't seen any movement yet, but this kind of marine resources or marine industry initiative where they're trying to cast a blue economy kind of stuff. Those are the words I was trying to reach. There's a couple of blue economy bills that are moving around this year. This is one of them. Strategic Transportation Infrastructure Investment is kind of an interesting bill. It has some things in here for Secretary of DOT. Take a look on here if you are interested in transportation related stuff. I think the intersection here is there's some resilience components to the Strategic Infrastructure Investment Plan that may be of interest to this group. Okay, here's Environmental Management by Burgess. So this one and Overdorf's Companion is another, I don't want to call it an environmental omnibus bill because it wasn't run by the department, but it has a few different things in here that are environmental related and kind of merged together under a single larger bill. There's there's the stormwater slopes provision is in here. There's a coastal construction control line provision in here. So again, it's kind of a hodgepodge. Some things about recovery of reasonable costs for prevailing parties in rule or permit challenges, and so on and so forth. So this one actually, yeah, please forgive me. This one actually did make it through its first committee stop and then hasn't done anything since. So this has made it through one stop. There's another blue economy bill. The other mitigation, the companion to the mitigation bill that I described earlier. Y'all please jump in if you have questions. I'm just going to keep scrolling through. This Hudson bill, I don't think I've talked about this previously. I haven't done a deep dive on it yet. It has been referred to committees. There hasn't been any activity yet, but it does add some. It affects the trail management grant program, and this water quality work program is interesting. This gaming compact provision, I think, is a really big deal. So this is something that I'm going to study this week. That gaming compact deal was announced, I think, late last week, and I really haven't done a deep dive. There have been some articles coming out on it, but it seems like this is setting up to create, along with the Amendment 1 from several years ago that created a documentary tax stamp revenue transfer into the department for land acquisition and other programs. This would create something that would pull revenue out of the Seminole Gaming Compact and put it into a water quality work program. So this would establish that work program and set the framework up for that. So again, I think there's more coming here. The House and Senate sponsors of this are in leadership, so I think this is likely going to pick up some steam now that that deal has been established and this bill has been filed, or bills out there. Okay, this is the stormwater slides, one of the stormwater side slope bills, 406, and it's made its first committee stop, and we're waiting on it to move forward. I think that since that side slope provision is in another bill, it's also possible that this one just stays here and doesn't move anymore. And Burgess's bill, which also contains it, may be the one that moves forward. That sometimes happens. Here's the companion to that DOT strategic investment plan bill I talked about just a minute ago. Berman's bill. This is interesting. We've had a couple of folks ask about 1304 and 1153. This does impact advanced wastewater treatment, and but I don't think it's likely to pass. So if you're concerned about this bill, I wouldn't be too terribly, I wouldn't stay up, wouldn't lose sleep over it. I don't think it's going to pass. Okay, here's, we talked about this environmental or mitigation credit bill previously. No activity yet on that. An IRL. This is a revisor bill, is how I'd characterize it. There was a lot of the Indian River Lagoon Protection Program was established in 1379 in the 2023 legislative session. This does some revisions to the percentages distributed. And it does a couple of other little tweaks in here to that IRL protection program established last year. Haven't seen any activity yet. Don't know if this is going to generate any momentum. And now I'm definitely getting to the part where these are all repeats or not likely to move. This is a companion bill, so this is likely to move. This is the companion to Burgess's bill by Overdorf. Just hasn't moved yet. And I'm going to pause and see if anybody has questions. I can bounce around.
Jeff, did I miss the stormwater ratification?
You haven't, because it
Okay.
hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's still an elephant in the room. I talked to John Coates yesterday, day before yesterday. He was still hopeful that it would come out as a committee bill this week. It apparently has not. So I would still anticipate it coming out. It's imminent. It could be today, it could be, over the weekend, it could be next week, but it is imminent.
I think it came out last night. Senate bill. Yes, I think it came out last night.
I am excited to hear that.
There's
and
a,
sorry, I
I
haven't
think
seen
it's
it yet.
Senate Bill 7040.
Okay, it's
Yes,
got the right
that's
number.
correct.
It's got the
Yep.
right number, 7040. All right, Laura, thank you for scooping me, y'all. Laura, can you throw 7040 up on the screen,
Sure thing.
please?
One moment, please.
Thank you. So committee bills don't have to be filed by the bill filing deadline, and they just come out. They're written by committee staff, and they are filed under 7000 series. So you can tell a PCB by that first digit. So we were expecting this. Drum roll. There it is. Bam. Gold star to whoever saw that first.
Amena gets the credit there.
All right.
Thank you, Brent.
Yes, thank you. So now that it's out, we're all, I know what I'm going to be looking at right after this call is over. I have heard that this is going to be a clean ratification of the adopted. It doesn't get much cleaner than that. Rules related to stormwater. That doesn't even refer to what rules. I'm not sure I've ever seen something like this before. This may be a placeholder or may get amended at its first committee stop. What else do we have here? Yeah, preliminary draft. That's interesting. It's missing a lot. A so-called clean ratification bill I would expect it to refer to a set of rules adopted by the Department of, published by the Department of State and the Florida, Administrative Register on a certain date, something like that, where we all know what rules are listed or what rules are included, and it's clearly missing. So I would expect to see some changes on this, but it's finally out. Anybody have anything else you want to talk about?
Jeff, this is Brent Whitfield.
Brent.
Curious that I think it was Hudson that has the bill for the gaming as a potential revenue source. How do you see that that water quality fund being, I guess, distributed if it was to be like, how does it administratively work? Is it just going to get directed towards appropriations, or is there a different grant program you think would happen? I know it's very early, just kind of curious.
Yeah, no, I'm also curious, Brent. I don't know yet. I will see if I can find out. There are some examples that we can refer to and maybe predict how it could work, but I don't think we're going to know until we get the details, probably through this legislative session. Because sometimes I like to speculate. I'll go ahead and take a stab at it, but I think this is, probably not certainly not the complete picture. But if it works like the documentary stamp tax revenue, that comes in through revenue collections throughout the year and is updated in budget projections throughout the year, and then that money is incorporated into the governor's budget and then the House budget and the Senate budget. And when those budgets come out and get adopted and executed or implemented, then the funding flows through that appropriation process. So through all of that, there's a lot of opportunity to sweep things from trust fund A and put it in pet project B and so on and so forth. But as a general rule, that because that Amendment 1 process, that what they call it, Florida Water, I don't even remember what the name of that thing was, but I hope you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
it generates,
I do.
It generates all the money that goes into the water quality assurance or the water quality improvements grants and so on and so on and so forth. This would be another source of revenue. And if y'all remember that Amendment 1 had a 20-year kind of time frame, we're probably 10 years into that, believe it or not. It seems like it wasn't that long ago. So, this is apparently going to bring a lot more money. And so one of the things that tends to happen, and it did happen with Amendment 1 dollars, is rather than the legislature directing general revenue to DEP projects, it substituted that general revenue with the non-ad valorem or the stamp tax revenue. And so if this kind of does the same thing, if there's this new source of money and it's earmarked for environmental projects, I suspect it will offset other spending. I don't necessarily think that it will mean
Create
a whole
new.
plus up. Yeah. But we're not going to know that until we see what happens, and how they appropriate money out of that this year will be very interesting. So that's something I'm very interested in.
All right. Thanks for your crystal ball.
You're welcome. Anything else? Next week, I will plan to cover that topic in more detail. If there are any other bills of particular interest to the committee and you want me to do a deep dive on one of them, the stormwater ratification, of course, I'm going to be updating y'all every week. And unless there's anything else, last minute questions? Wonderful. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Jeff.
you, everyone.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.